This is Lions on Tap, a weekly look inside the Lions Den. Highlights, interviews, and a look ahead to what's next for the Leos. Now, here are your hosts, Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski, and Bob the Moj Marjanovic.
Welcome to BC Lions on Tap as we come to you from Parq Casino. We're at the BC Kitchen on the second level. If you're in the neighborhood, pop on by. Great atmosphere here at Parq Casino, in particular BC Kitchen. The food is tremendous, and a big shout out to the staff here for having us. And of course, the good folks at Molson Coors as well. It's the Moj Bob Marjanovic along with Matt Baker and Nick Kowalski. We're going to be joined in a couple of seconds with Dom Rhymes, outstanding receiver of the BC Lions. But fellas, before we introduce Mr. Rhymes, 37-29 victory in Edmonton. Boys kept it going against a pretty a hot Edmonton team, a team that won 4 games in a row. And, you know, looking at that game, guys, I think Julio and I were talking about afterwards, probably one of the biggest things that really was a positive was that defense looked like the defense that we saw in the first month of the season.
Yeah, 7 sacks, I believe, 4 additional tackles for a loss, and yeah, credit to Ryan Phillips' unit. There was a couple series that, I think back to the start of the second half where Edmonton looked like they were starting to move the ball, chance to potentially tie the score, but they hold them to a field goal attempt. It's a field goal miss. So great on the defense, and I'll tell you what, the most frequent emoji I've been texting on my phone, smoke.
Smoke Mizell, yeah.
Mizell, yes. Over 100 yards for the first time. That was brilliant for me to see.
And that's one of the concerns about the team heading the last month or so is that running game and getting it established. And, the offense is doing great, putting numbers on the board with Vernon Adams throwing the football, but as everyone says, and Rick Campbell's even mentioned it, you're going to need that running game once the weather goes a little north. And to see what they did offensively, a great job in terms of Smoke Mizell and getting some yards along the ground. And Nick, one of the things that really surprised me, and you probably got a better feel for this at field level, I shouldn't say surprised, but one of the things that I thought the Lions did an outstanding job of containing Trey Ford. I mean, they made him look ordinary. He'd been doing some extraordinary stuff in those 4 games that led up to this one when they had the 4-game winning streak. They made him look pedestrian. And Kevin Brown, who'd rushed for, 318 yards in his last 2 games? 18 yards on 6 carries. I mean, they totally neutralized those 2 threats.
And the thing that impressed me is it wasn't necessarily one person making a one-on-one move with Trey Ford and taking him down. It was a swarm of Lions. If one guy didn't get him, he was pushing him inside, and then the rest of the cavalry came in and got Trey Ford down. We saw that on countless sacks, but I think one individual performance I think I want to shout out if you're a defensive player and you're looking to get some coaching on some tackling clinics, TJ Lee. How many tackles did he make in open space where
especially the quarterback sack on Ford. Right?
Yeah.
But, there's a play in that game that I think kind of typified, and I talked to the coaches after the game as we're waiting for the buses to load. They ran Ford kind of bubbled outside, and as he did, Matthew Betts gained the edge. And what I mean by that, basically came upfield 3 yards, kind of positioned himself, and he made Ford bubble. So now Ford bubbles, which buys time for everybody else to come up. Peters came up, provided force contain on the outside. Now Ford cuts it back in, and here comes the cavalry. I think Hladik and somebody else came in and cleaned up at Tuihema, maybe made the play, made the tackle. But there's 2 guys that made that play and 2 guys that made the tackle. And I think that's something that was really impressive with that defense that night. When you have players that are elusive as Ford and you have a running back like Brown, you might not make the tackle, but you're making the play, and you're doing that by executing your responsibility. And we saw that, like I said, on that one play in particular, it was like poetry in motion. Betts came upfield, like I said, Ford bubbles it. Here comes Peters with the force contained, cuts back inside, here comes the pursuit. Like, everyone just doing their jobs, and that's how you neutralize a guy like that. But if you have one breakdown in that series of events right there, he's off to the races. So props to the Lions. And now, big game against Saskatchewan coming up, Matt Baker, and it's a special night, too.
Yes, our 3rd annual Orange Shirt Day game. Before we're out of here in the final segment, once we're done with our special guests, we'll go over some of the cool things happening. So we're very excited. For those watching this video we post, we have the orange shirts. A little bit of a tweak that we'll explain later, but it's a big game on the field, a chance to tick another one off the box, Moj, clinch a home playoff game, guarantee no worse than second place, as of course we're now tied with Winnipeg at 10-4. Should be a great night. I'm jacked up already.
Well, if you're jacked up, our guest is going to be jacked up. He is Lions receiver Dominique Rhymes. Dom Rhymes stopping by. And he hasn't been in a football game, I'm looking at the numbers here, since what? July the 2nd, is that it? Something like that? Yeah. It's been a while, dude.
Dang it. That seems like a long time. Yeah. It's been a while for me. It feels like it's been 3 months. Like it feels like I haven't played.
It was Winnipeg, wasn't
it? August 3rd you played, but previous to that it was July 22nd. So, yeah, so August 3rd. Yeah, I mean, we're talking, almost 7-8 weeks, coming up to 7 weeks, one game?
Yeah, so you can imagine how I'm feeling.
The Ferrari's coming out of the garage, as head coach Rick Campbell said.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited to get back on the field, man, get back to the player everybody knows me as, and, just being out there with my brothers, just making plays, man, just, even when I'm out, man, just the guys, cheering me on, like, man, I can't wait till you get back, man, it's going to be so crazy once you get back. I mean, just the love that, my teammates have for me makes me want to go that much harder, and, I'm going to make sure once I'm on that field, everybody knows I'm on the field.
And is it safe to say it's probably the first time this year you're at 100%?
Oh, yeah. This is a true fact because early in the season, I started off at a good pace. But, in the second game of the season, I had a setback and, it was limiting me to be the person I can be because, I was still just banged up. So, I needed to get my body right, heal up. So I'm back healed up and, I'm about to be a force on the field for the rest of the season. And I'm going to make everybody pay that, the time I missed.
Rick Campbell has told the story a couple times about how he brought you in and used the term short-term pain for a long-term gain. Obviously, it's what's best for you and for the team. You want to be around for good when the games are getting more for real. But at the same time, how tough is that, though, knowing that you're not going to get the opportunity for it ended up being the full 6 weeks?
Oh, man, it's tough because, as a competitor and as a player, I feel like I'm in my prime. So, to miss games while you're in your prime, it sucks. It eats you up because you know what you can be doing to help your team on the field. But at the same time, I'm a player that, I want to win. I want to be, holding a trophy up at the end of the season. So that's my main goal as an individual and as a team player. So, individual stats, that's not what I do the game for. I do the game to, play with my brothers and to win games.
And you're still very much involved. Even your first stint on the injured list, the first trip to Winnipeg, you were there, you were on the trip. Last couple of games, you were wearing the Lucky Whitehead propeller hat, and you and him had a very cool moment on the bench after the crazy Ottawa comeback. Being that close to it and still being involved, still sort of being a de facto coach on the sidelines, did that make it a little easier not suiting up?
Oh, yeah, man. It makes it easy when you get the game days and you get to see your brothers making plays. Like, that's what football is about. It's a team sport. So when your brothers on the field making plays, winning games, like, that's what you live for, I'm not a person that, if I'm not out there, I'm feeling sad. Like, no, when I'm out there, I'm happy because I'm seeing my brothers, have amazing games. Like, I think each receiver this year has had a statement game. Like, they're that type of guy. So it's amazing.
You've also you're involved when you're in street clothes too. You're pregame. You're still giving the speeches to the guys to motivate them and all that. Has there been any specific examples where guys came up to you and been like, "Hey, we really appreciate your support, even though you're not on the field right now"?
Oh yeah, man. The whole time I was on the 6th game, anybody that's been on the 6th game, they know how tough it is. Just because you're not being able to play, you can't do too much on the field or at practice. So, just me being around, guys always lifting me up. Just happy that I'm around, and they love to hear my voice because they know how passionate I am about this game. And when I'm on the field, I'm giving it my all. So, I mean, it feels good that those guys can see me as that.
The one thing I'll point out, and Matt touched on it, that scene with you and Lucky after Lucky scores the touchdown. For people that don't know, Lucky is standing on the Lions bench, and you come up, you're in your street clothes, and you guys start, hugging and embracing. To me, that was just such a poignant moment, and it really showed the togetherness of this team, right? And the fact that you're not playing, and there's, you're so happy for the team, you're so happy for Lucky. There's nothing about you that's saying, "I wish I was out there," or you're sulking. And hey, trust me, I've seen a guy in a Grey Cup game who's an MVP quarterback who, once he realized he wasn't playing, sat down at the other end of the bench and wasn't even involved in the game. So that happens. So to see that, I thought it was really, really cool. Just the togetherness that you guys have on this team.
Yeah, and it just shows. I met lucky in 2021 when we first came here, and like we've been tight and brothers ever since, and that's gonna be my brother for life. So just to see him, have that moment and his mom was there made it even that much sweeter. And even Terry taking a big return back to the crib for like a big touchdown momentum swing, and his family was here, his fiance, like that stuff I live for, because I get to see my guys who put in all the work happy, because when I'm doing good out there, they're giving me the same type of love. And I mean, like you say, if I'm not playing, I'm going to be the biggest cheerleader. I'm going to cheer you on. I'm going to want you to be the best person you can be out there.
And let's get to the real truth of the matter for you traveling with the team, and that is the fact that nobody wants to listen to Dom Davis's tunes on the plane. Because you're the resident DJ, right? I'm just saying,
I get some tune going. Alex plays a lot of tunes too. So
yeah, he had the big speaker going there. Yeah.
We mix it up, but just creating them vibes, just creating that atmosphere that guys love to be around, and it's a party every time you're around the BC Lions. So if you're around us, you're gonna have fun.
Dominique Rhymes is our guest. We're coming to you from the BC Kitchen at Parq Casino in downtown Vancouver. It's the Moj, Bob Marjanovic, along with Matt Baker and Nick Kowalski from the Lions social media team. So much to get to with Dom Rhymes. We'll talk to him about his journey in the world of football, and it's an interesting one, and we'll get to some of the reasons why on the other side. We'll also set up the big game against the Saskatchewan Roughriders Friday night at BC Place Stadium. Matt will tell you what's coming up in terms of some of the special promotions. And, of course, Nick Kowalski's world-famous BC Lions trivia all the way from Surrey, BC to Surrey, England. Fans are waiting to hear this tonight. All that and more coming up on BC Lions on Tap on AM 730 and the Lions Audio Network.
Now, back to Lions on Tap. Here again is Bob Marjanovic.
It's the Moj, Bob Marjanovic, along with Matt Baker and Nick Kowalski from the Lions social media team. We're coming to you from BC Kitchen at Parq Casino in downtown Vancouver. If you're in the neighborhood, pop on by. And a big shout out to the folks here at BC Kitchen, as well as Molson Coors. Our guest tonight is Lions wide receiver Dom Rhymes. Talking to Dom about being out of the lineup for a little bit. He's going to be back in the lineup when the Lions host the Saskatchewan Roughriders Friday night at BC Place Stadium. Dom, usually when we have guests during this show, we talk a little bit about the journey that they've had getting to the Canadian Football League. And tell us a little bit about your journey growing up and going to high school in Miami, and then somehow, some way, winding up in the Canadian Football League.
Miami boy, playing at the Parks. Only reason I played football because my older brother played it, and so I didn't know too much about football, but I just see he played it, so I'm like, I want to be like my big brother. So I started playing, and went to Miami Northwestern, probably top 50 high schools in America, top 5 high schools in Florida. A lot of superstars, a lot of NFL.
Teddy Bridgewater?
Yeah, Mari Cooper.
Yeah, so Cooper was, looking at the ages, I imagine Cooper's like a couple of years younger.
No, one class under.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
And and Bridgewater, what, a class older, I imagine?
Same class as me.
Same class, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, then went to FIU. Thing is, I played defense all my life growing up. I didn't play receiver until I went to high school, and it was like the worst time to switch to receiver, because this high school where when you got springtime, people trying out for receivers, 50 receivers, and somehow you only get one wide receiver one-on-one rep, and you got to win because it's like 50 receivers. So if you lose your rep, you just done. Coach is not looking at you, and just off of my natural athletic ability, I can always run, I can always catch. So I stood out, but then one thing about Northwestern is so much talent around us. So you got 5 stars everywhere. So I didn't play varsity until, my senior year, because I didn't play my junior year. I just played basketball. Oh. My first 2 years I played JV, because the team they had before was a national championship team. Everybody was 5 stars loaded. So really I didn't play varsity football to my senior year in high school. And that's where I got a lot of attention. Then I went to FIU, and freshman year still learning how to play receiver. Then I got another receiver on the opposite side of me, T.Y. Hilton. He was a dog. Yeah, he was a dog.
Yeah.
And then, college for me was up and down, because my freshman year I made my way all the way from the back of the depth chart to be a true freshman starting first game of the season. paid my dues because, you know, T.Y. was getting every ball my freshman year. Like, it was so funny. My receiver coach used to be like, you know, giving us the plays, you know, going over plays. I'm like asking the coach, hey, what I'm supposed to do right here? Oh, don't worry about it. T.Y.'s getting the ball. So it used to be, like, funny stuff like that. But then my sophomore year was supposed to be my year. Like, my year I'm supposed to come out like, all right, I'm going to dominate this year. First game of the season, I broke my wrist out for the whole season. And then coaching changed the next year, so I broke my wrist. I was out for a season, new coaches. It took me like a year and a half to learn how to catch again. So I couldn't catch when the new coaches came in. So they was like, I don't know about this guy.
So you go to Murray State to finish up, right?
Yeah.
Your last year. When I'm looking at your numbers, just dug them up. They're modest. It's not like you had 112 yards receiving in your senior year, or 112 catches, I should say. They're modest numbers. Yet you still find a way to get to the Canadian Football League. What kept you going in terms of that pro dream? Because a lot of guys would say, if I didn't succeed at this level and put up big numbers, what's going to get me to the next level?
Was my best friend. My best friend, you know, he played with me at FIU, and, you know, he knew how talented I was, and he always told me, keep going, man. You got this. You know, you can still play football, you know. It might not be the NFL, but it's this league, the CFL, where, you know, you can play football, and if you do good up there, you can get a shot at NFL. So I did a CFL workout for the Ottawa Red Blacks in Atlanta. Probably like 200-300 people there at the workout. And, I mean, it's history from there. I was like the one or two people that got picked up from that camp, and I actually didn't get invited to rookie mini camp. I got invited to training camp 3-4 days in. And second game of the preseason, they switched my position to another position, and I ended up having 100 yards, like 8 catches, and that's been history. I've been up here ever since, and, you know, making my mark.
Yeah, 11 games in that first year in Ottawa, 2017, and you had a big performance in the Eastern Final, I think, in 2018, got to a Grey Cup, but you originally signed in BC, Dom. It was early in 2020. I remember it was kind of the second wave of free agency, if I recall. And I just remember being there and being involved. But then, of course, we all know what happened in 2020, the season getting wiped out. And I remember during that time talking to you a bit via text. We hadn't actually met in person yet. You were working out in Miami, just trying to figure out what was happening. What do you remember about that whole process of missing a year and ultimately a little uncertainty in terms of what was going to happen from then on?
It was rough because, you know, you want to play football, but football was, you know, at a standstill. You couldn't play, like, you know, coming off a 2019 season, like my first 1,000-yard season, you know, I was ready to, like, show people, like, I'm taking another step as a receiver. Then, like, to get that, like, just wiped away, and, like, you know, I was at a good age, a little bit younger, too. So, you know, that it takes away the football year. So it was tough, but, you know, just kept working out. I knew time would come that, you know, football would be back, and, you know, I just stayed ready.
We are speaking with Dom Rhymes. He is our guest tonight at Parq Casino. We're at the BC Kitchen on the second floor here at Parq Casino. If you're in the neighborhood, pop on in. Special thank you to the folks from BC Kitchen and Parq, and, of course, the good folks at Molson Coors. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, Nick Kowalski's world-famous Lions trivia. And Dom Rhymes is going to participate in this one as well. We need all the help we can get. You're listening to BC Lions on Tap on AM 730 and the Lions Audio Network.
Now, back to Lions on Tap. Here again is Bob Marjanovic.
It's the Moj, Bob Marjanovic, along with Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski from the Lions social media team, coming to you from BC Kitchen at Parq Casino, downtown Vancouver. And a big thank you to the folks at Parq Casino. And, of course, Molson Coors are one of our presenting sponsors. This, of course, Lions on Tap on AM 730 and the Lions Audio Network. Our guest tonight is Dom Rhymes, and he's sticking around for Nick Kowalski's world-famous trivia. This, Dom, people are like listening in from all over the world right now for Kowalski's trivia. It's pretty good stuff.
It's the world-famous game of luck, Dom, or Hatch.
All right.
So for those listening, I have their headshots right in front of these guys. Lucky Whitehead, Dominique Rhymes,
Nicely
and Keelan
done.
Hatcher. I'm going to test these guys. I'm going to ask you guys a question. The answer is one of these three names, so Rhymes, Hatcher, or Whitehead.
Okay.
Question 1. Who has the most career CFL receptions? So raise a picture. Baker's got Rhymes.
I got
Moj
Rhymes.
got Rhymes. Dom got Rhymes. That's correct. But Rhymes is 2 ahead of Lucky, so it's very close.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
How about most games? So you guys all get a point. Most games played for the BC Lions. So Rhymes has got Lucky. Baker's got Keon. And Moj has got Lucky. It's Lucky by 2 games over Keon. So that's 2. So
Perfect thus
Baker's
far.
down 1 point.
All right.
Who is averaging the most yards per reception this season?
This season per
Yeah.
reception.
So Baker's got Lucky, Moj got Keon, Dom's got Keon. The correct answer is Keon. 15.78.
Oh, no.
Tom and I are going head-to-head. Baker's been eliminated
I've
already.
been mathematically
Baker's
eliminated.
lost. So-
Let's bring it back here. Who is the most college football touchdowns?
The most college football touchdowns. Wow.
I'm going Hatch.
Moj is correct. It's Hatch.
Oh.
Moj is the only correct answer. So Moj is up by 1
Moj
right now.
clinched it.
This kid, who has the most 100-yard games in their CFL career?
In their CFL career.
Oh, that's a
100-yard
good one.
games. You guys all go Rhymes?
We're all going Rhymes.
We got 3 Rhymes. You guys are all correct.
Yeah.
So Moj is perfect.
There you go.
Longest career reception in the CFL.
Longest career reception.
Luck too fast for Moj.
Yeah.
Luck too fast all around. You guys are all correct. It was a 90-yard play last year.
It was the
at
one,
Sask,
yeah.
Here is the crazy one. I looked this up today. I previewed this on Twitter. So which receiver has the highest yards per game over a single season? So if you get 1,000 yards in 10 games.
Rhymes just putting his up the whole time. He's just like,
This one's crazy. So highest yards per game over a single season.
Over a single season. Yards
per game.
Yeah.
So we got a Rhymes for Rhymes.
I'm going Rhymes.
Rhymes is Moj.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky Whitehead for Baker. The correct answer is Dominique Rhymes. The crazy fact about this,
Yeah.
2022, Dominique Rhymes averaged 77.8. That's his career high. 2021, Lucky Whitehead averaged 77.7.
Oh,
2023, Keon Hatcher is averaging 77.6.
Oh,
So they're
wow.
all within 0.2 yards of each other.
That's hilarious.
crazy.
That is
That's crazy. So
I didn't
Moj-
know that.
Is that it? That was perfect.
You nailed it, yeah.
I had a
Moj nailed it.
perfect game.
Good job.
That was a perfect game right there.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
That's,
You get
that's
second,
crazy.
Dom?
I didn't know
That's the
that.
crazy. Yeah, it blew me away today looking it up.
That's great. Like within
Stumbled upon it.
0.2?
All 3 of them.
That's nuts. Don, very quickly, before we let you go, what should the fans expect Friday night when the Lions entertain the Saskatchewan Roughriders?
Revenge from the last loss that we had at their place. Dominance, energy, effort. It's going to be fun. A lot of touchdowns scored. And we're just going to play BC Lions football, and we're going to have a fun time in the den.
Well, Don, thanks so much for stopping by tonight. Great stuff, and good luck Friday night against the Roughriders.
Thank you very much.
Dominique Rhymes from the BC Lions stopping by. Bake, before we get out of here, tell us what you got on tap, the Lions have on tap for Friday night.
Lots that we encourage you to head to bclions.com/orange shirt day game, but be wearing the orange warm-up practice jerseys, auctioning them off, proceeds going to the Orange Shirt Society and Indian Residential School survivors. Our Indigenous Marketplace is back, vendors showcasing their products. The Hallucination, the electric music duo halftime performance. DJ Osho out at the backyard party. There'll be some arts and crafts for the kids and everybody. A lot happening. It's way too much to get into in a short wrap-up here. So tickets start at $25. bclions.com/orange shirt day game.
And, of course, social media, Nick Kowalski, you guys are covering it all. BC Lions on X and BC Lions on Instagram. You guys do a tremendous job. So I imagine we will have the full crew out Friday night covering the game.
We got shooters everywhere.
It'll be awesome. Well, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. That's a wrap for us. Special thank you to our engineer on site, the big fella, the Hall of Famer, Trevor Martinge, also to Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski, and our guest, Dom Rhymes. You know what I'm going to tell you before we get out of here? Do what you got to do. Light it up. Go for it on third and short. Just do us a favor. Be safe.